to snap it, and it's Trey Burton who throws caught. Foles, touchdown.
Here he goes. It's Hester. Inside the 30. Hester's going to take it all the way for a touchdown.
Fields stumbling, trying to cut it back. Justin Fields making magic happen. There goes Fields. Touchdown!
Hurts on first down, fires downfield. It's Deshaun Jackson back in the lineup. Missed the last 7 games, and he will take it 81 yards. A somersault into the end zone. His first touchdown of the season.
You're listening to the Pigskin Project, the world's #1 football podcast. Now, with more insights on all things football, here are your hosts, Ben Hansen and Ryan Matthews.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 51st episode of the Pigskin Project. It's officially playoff season, and last week we promised you guys a guest. We bring in on another special guest from a previous episode that actually did fairly well. So if you're still tuning in, you're probably familiar with this guy. And I had a privilege to follow his first. I want to say it's his. I think it's his first defensive coordinator job in high school football. Did a phenomenal job, record-breaking year, but we will definitely get to that later. First things first, as we always do, Ben, before we bring in our guest, I want to ask you, man, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I have been looking forward to this specific podcast for 3 weeks going on to 4. We just haven't been able to get time to match everything up, but I'm glad we are able to do it now. So it's gonna be awesome.
I want to mention one thing. For those that do listen in every week, and Ben, I know that we've kept in constant contact. This is something I've wanted to talk to you about, literally since yesterday, but I've kept it on lock because, for one, I kind of forgot about it. Busy day today. For two, I don't know. I wanted to call you after work, but I didn't get a chance to. Earlier, I want to say just 2 or 3 weeks ago, we talked about my uncle, which wasn't doing so well. He's been a big fan of the Pigskin Project. And I did want to say he's making almost miraculous progress. He's doing phenomenal to the point to where he will be let out a week from Friday. He is not going to be in the hospital anymore. He'll be totally okay. So for all of you that are praying, thank you. Keep him coming. He's still got a long road of therapy to go and everything like that. But he's doing good. So that's ultimately what I wanted to say.
Yes.
So.
And while we're on that topic, I think it's important that we note this as well. DeMar Hamilton, I think, got out of the hospital today. So, he got out of the hospital today. So he's doing awesome. He's now back at home, which is great news to hear as well. So,
and I mean, keep those prayers coming too, because clearly they help. But lots of good news to start this episode. And without further ado, I think that with the good news, we're bringing a good friend and Coach Tyler. Welcome back to the show, Coach, and congratulations on a great year at Calumet High School. Do you want to talk about that? Let's dive into it. What was the atmosphere like in the locker room, and how was it in your first season as defensive coordinator?
Well, it was actually my second season.
Second, I apologize.
And
nice.
I mean, we started in the spring. You're allowed a certain amount of practices in the springtime. So we got after that. And then, we hit the summer off running bumpy in the very beginning of summer. We had a few issues in the beginning. And then we got a team kind of put us on our place real quick. And then we got to face them again, I think, a week later. And, we put them down real quick. So, we just went off, had the best start in school history at 8-0. In those 8 games, what our offense was number 1 in the region. I think we were averaging 47 points per game. We were third. We were second or third in the region at that time, giving up 8.4 points per game. Fortunately, the injury bug hit us weeks 9, and then that was against one of the best teams in the region. They beat us bad. So, and you guys know them, Hanover, so they beat the crap out of us. And then we had a shootout, last second win in sectionals, and then faced the number one team in our classification in the second round, and that was a rough one. But we had total offense. We broke about every offensive record we had, and had a lot of individual performances. I won't say their names because they're young kids, obviously, but we had a receiver had 17 receiving touchdowns on 40 catches and 1,200 receiving yards. We had a linebacker have 24 and a half tackles for loss. Actually, all three starting linebackers, because I run a 4-3, all three starting linebackers had over 100 plus tackles. So we gave up a little more points than we want to. We gave up 19 points per game. And if you watch throughout the whole year, look at our schedule, it's because of those last three games. Gave up 42, 42, and then 50 or 56, I believe. So, yeah, that kind of jumped that up.
Yeah. How young are you guys? A young team currently? I mean, what's the outlook for next season?
Let's see. We return to two starters on the offensive line and two like backup players that kind of played here and there. So we return our starting running back, who actually missed 2 or 3 games this year and ran for 900 yards. We return our entire receiving core, which hands down is the best in the region. I'll put it up against anyone. I don't care what anyone says. They're all freaks of nature and really, really good. Let's see. Our D-line, we return three, basically our entire D-line, minus the people that like seniors that rotated in. I returned my middle linebacker, so I got to replace the other 2, and then mainly the entire secondary. So we're returning a lot of people. Should be a even more exciting year.
Yes,
that's awesome. That's really good. I mean, looking at it too, I mean, getting to know you from Wheeler football and everything, always a good role model and an even better coach for sure. And it's clear that you took an effect on that team as well. You know, if you didn't, I don't think that it would have had as much progress. I mean, you just being you, but it was a lot of fun to keep track of for sure.
Yeah, it was super exciting. And just offense broke a lot of records, so we got to go defensive wise, have to break more records next year. So that's the goal.
I will say it was a little bit of a rough sectional draw, I want to say, right? As far as that, I mean, just that last game when I saw the draw, and you can go on and talk about it for sure. I knew I was just like, oh, this is rough. I mean, you know, great year so far, and that's probably the worst draw that you could have gotten.
Hands down, I think our sectional is the hardest in 3A football. For people who don't know, Indiana goes to 6A, 1 through 6, and 3A, I think our sectional was hands down the hardest. You had the number 1 team in 3A in West Lafayette. You had the number 5 team in Hanover, and you had us. And at the time, we were 8-0. So when the sectional draw happened, you had 8-0 West Lafayette, 8-0 Hanover, 8-0 Calumet, all right there for the pickings. And then when the year ended, 9-0, 9-0, 8-1. So that's terrible at math. What is that, 26-1, something like that, roughly?
27. 26. Yeah, 26-1. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's your top 3 teams in the sectional. So, and that's not counting, you know, a gem that Boone Grove has that we had a shootout with. So it was super tough, but our schedule was weak. We beefed it up this year, or for the upcoming years, to be able to handle that tough sectional.
Who's, just out of curiosity, I haven't been able to look at your guys' roster. Schedule. Who's a little bit different that's on your radar?
So we add 4A Plymouth, 5A Hammond Morton, 4A South Bend, Washington. Our week 0, our preseason game is Crown Point.
Crown Point had a good team. For those that don't know, very good team.
Obviously, we drop Hanover, so we don't play them in the regular season, but we get to we move West Side, which is our rival, and they're 4A, and they just had an offensive lineman signed to Minnesota, and he's 6'7", so that's gonna be a tough one. And obviously, you guys know our conference. You guys playing at Wheeler and stuff, so obviously we still have to play, Wheeler, Whiting, and all those guys. But Plymouth, Hammond, Morton, and South Bend, Washington are the big 3 we added. So that beefs it up a little bit in terms of what we got to face.
Ben, any?
No, I'm good. I asked him about next year and the outlook. So,
all right. So let's go ahead and move on to weekly review. So just gonna blow through this really, just as we always do. Let's see, just making sure we're in the right week. Chiefs beat the Raiders 31-13. Jaguars beat the Titans and clinched their division 20-16. Falcons beat the Buccaneers 30-17. Bills beat the Patriots 35-23. Vikings beat the Bears 29-13. Bengals beat the Ravens 27-16. Texans beat the Colts 32-31. Dolphins beat the Jets 11-6. Panthers beat the Saints 10-7. Steelers beat the Browns 28-14. Eagles beat the Giants 22-16. Commanders beat the Cowboys 26-6. Broncos beat the Chargers 31-28. Seahawks beat the Rams 19-16. 49ers beat the Cardinals 38-13. And then the Lions beat the Packers 20-16. Very eventful week, very fun week of football. Despite, as much as we were kind of nervous just because of the amount of talent that was sitting out. Obviously, there were a couple shockers, but that was to be expected, especially if you listen in on last episode. We even said that there was going to be. You look at the Cowboys, they are not worse than the Commanders. They just, didn't really play their best for one, and for two, it's just, if you saw it, you'll understand. But next up, I think we got to move on to weekly news. So I'm just going to go ahead and segue to it. We're not going to do the drop for that one just yet. But Sean McVay is being looked at for a studio analyst for 2023 if he steps away from football. And that is, a huge if. There's rumors of surrounding him not wanting to, coach next season, maybe taking a break. But that's also been a rumor since they won the Super Bowl as well. So a little bit more of a backfire, definitely putting a definition to Super Bowl hangover this season for the Rams.
Yes.
I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
Well, to that point, though, it was a conversation we had all off season this past year, but more so than anything, obviously the reports is nothing confirmed, but the reports coming out, I think it came out yesterday, was that he is actively pushing his coaching staff to seek other jobs. And that should be saying something. Their defensive coordinator, Raheem Morris, is, he was going to be looked at coaching jobs either way. But if you're actively trying to push your good dudes out, that should be signaling that he's probably going to at least step away for a little bit.
Yeah. And he's had a pretty solid career already. He was one of the youngest to do it. So I don't know, but next up, the next headline that I think is probably Coach and I's favorite, the Bears have locked up the number 1 pick in the NFL draft following their loss to Minnesota and Houston's win against Indianapolis. I was streaming this game as far as the Texans and Colts, just from my phone. I wasn't at home, and I was on my toes. We were celebrating my little brother's birthday, and so we were at some arcade. And I was literally just zeroed in on my phone, couldn't care less about any arcade games. And everybody probably looked at me crazy when I started jumping up and down when the Texans scored that touchdown. I'm curious to know, Coach, what's your reaction to this? And we'll dive into it a little bit more later on. But what do you think is going to happen with this number 1 pick, or what do you hope is going to happen?
Well, I hope Will Anderson Jr. is a Chicago Bear. But if what everyone else says is going to happen, I'm fine with it either way. I don't think you can mess this up. There's no way you can mess it up. unless he becomes a bust. But there, you could get Jalen Carter, you can get Will Anderson. Those guys are dogs. You can trade back, get the offensive guys that people talk about, but there ain't no way you can mess this up. So
yeah, I mean, okay, and then one last thing too about this topic. I'm seeing this everywhere, and it's really upsetting me. As far as headlines go, the ESPN and NFL Network and everybody's talking about the possibility of the Bears potentially trading Justin Fields and starting over with Bryce Young. He's a younger prospect. People are saying that they like him a little bit more coming out of college than they did Justin Fields. What's your take on this? And Ben, you're also a big college guy, so I'm looking forward to your take. But Coach,
Yes,
you go first. What do you think?
If it was 2024, let's do it.
Okay.
Because of Caleb Williams, Drake May, Bo Nix, that quarterback class is dumb. This one is you're banking on, because Bryce Young has such a great legacy through high school and college. Will Levis has all the talent in the world. Justin Fields is playing with Dante Pettis, N'Keal Harry, St. Brown. I'm not going to ruin his first name, but
Equinemius,
yeah. Like these dudes are dropping open passes, and now my friends make dumb choices, but like who wants to throw to those guys? And he's not Tom Brady, he isn't Peyton Manning, he's not Drew Brees, where they can throw to those guys and they'll make them better. Justin ain't like that.
Yeah,
he's the best runner in the NFL. He is an okay passer. He needs to be better passing, but to get better, you have to get someone. And two teams right away: Buffalo Bills, Philadelphia Eagles. People say trade Justin now. If you look at Josh Allen's stats year 2, you should have traded Josh Allen then. But they got Stephon Diggs. Now look at Gabriel Davis out of nowhere. Josh Allen's making him better. Justin Fields, go get him DK Metcalf. That's who I want.
Yeah.
Go get him. Now suddenly you can have a Dante Pettis make plays. You can have these guys make weird plays because you have a true number one outside big receiver.
D-Hop.
D-Hop.
Yeah,
we'll get to trade wide receiver, wide receiver targets and everything like that.
Yes. Well,
one thing that I really want to mention for sure. You said, maybe trading him in 2024 would make sense and everything, but and you also compared him to like the growth of Josh Allen, for example, as well. We've talked about it a ton of times, and I'm not saying that you're wrong, but I will say, just kind of heads up for anybody listening as well, we're not comparing Justin Fields to Josh Allen. We're just saying, look, this has happened before. Josh Allen, I think, is the unicorn in this. Me and Ben have talked about it before. This is, pretty incredible development between year 2 and year 3. We can only hope, but we can't be so sure right off the bat. And one thing that I also want to add is that Justin Fields is probably the only watchable person on this Bears team this last season. And if anybody's wanting to get rid of him now, you're signing up to be a loser for the next few years as well.
Yeah. Well, 2 points. The name that you mentioned, but you kind of skipped over, was the Jalen Hurts thing. And it was a conversation me and Ryan have had on the podcast probably 10 times now. I would not at all be surprised if we see maybe not quite as big of a leap, because Jalen Hurts for, the first 12 weeks of the season was either the front runner or runner up in the MVP. But I think we can see that arc and we can see that grow. And as we've seen both in Josh Allen and in Jalen Hurts, you get him a true number one wide receiver, it's like they can magically become a good passer.
Mm-hmm.
But to the whole Bryce Young point, and obviously, I like Bryce Young. I don't think, and Coach Tyler said it as well, this class is not as good as what next year's class was, or the classes that we came to expect with Trevor Lawrence and all those players. It would make no sense for the Bears to trade away Justin Fields for a guy who is smaller than Justin Fields, doesn't have as big of an arm as Justin Fields, and isn't as good of a runner as Justin Fields. in pretty much every way outside of like pocket mobility and the way he moves in the pocket and then accuracy, Justin Fields is a significantly better prospect than what Bryce Young was. And people don't like to talk about it because Bryce Young's going to be 1 or 2, but that's just because he plays a quarterback position and there aren't any other quarterbacks in this class.
Right.
Like even strictly as prospects, if you pin Bryce Young up against Justin Fields, and Justin Fields is the 14th overall pick in his class, I would still much rather have Justin Fields. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know where, like ESPN and even some Chicago sports pages too, I don't know where this is coming from. It makes absolutely no sense to me.
It's really sad what like the lengths that media will go and get clicks and stuff like that. And especially when there's so much to talk about as well. So that's why I'd like to move on to the next point, being Jim Harbaugh is drawing major interest from NFL teams for the vacant head coaching position. Ben, I'm going to turn this to you first, just because for one, you're probably the biggest college football head that I know. But two, I mean, from a Michigan fan's point of view, after all the controversy surrounding Jim Harbaugh and, you know, I don't know what the right word would be to describe that situation, except for like maybe bogus. You can explain that for what
bogus,
people might have missed. And then I'd like to know your guys' point of view on that.
For those who don't know what he's referring to, Jim Harbaugh is now currently under investigation. He might be facing suspension because he bought a recruit a hamburger. It was a $6 hamburger, and Ryan used the word bogus, which is absolutely fair because a $6 hamburger versus the millions of dollars these players are making in NIL is just wild to me. But honestly, I still think he'll probably stay unless he gets the Colts job. If he gets a Colts job, I think he's going to go. It just goes back to that's where he was playing. For some reason, people want to coach for Jim Irsay, which is a conversation for another day. But I think he's going to stay even if he gets suspended unless he gets a Colts job, which I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, we've seen Jim Irsay's hiring history with Jeff Saturday. So it's I don't know. It's wild to me. Do you have anything to add to that, Coach Tyler?
I mean, I think that's the only job that he should go to. He did great last time he was in the NFL, but he played at Michigan. He's coached at Michigan. He's brought Michigan to a level that they haven't been at since '98. They're going to go find someone, and I think the big splash is
Sure.
Let's just say Jim Harbaugh goes to the Colts. Yeah. There ain't no college. They can find anyone they want. Michigan can because of what he built. So, and he played for Michigan, played for the Colts, go to the Colts, and I think people will be super upset because he can't win the big one, and be pleasantly surprised when he makes that team very, very good.
Yeah. No, and like I said, I think that's the only team he's going to. The other rumor was the Broncos, which I can't see happening.
That'd be fun though. I mean, with what he could do with like Colin Kaepernick in the past, I mean, you have a somewhat related quarterback in Russell Wilson. That'd be a fun experiment.
Well, and it's a conversation I think like we need to have next week about head coaching destinations. And I do think of all the teams that are like that need a head coach, I don't know if the Broncos is the team I want to go to. They have the best roster, but do you want to be tied for Russell Wilson for the next 4 or 5 years? I do not.
Right.
So I wouldn't take that. And it's a conversation. I have one of them in my overreactions. I don't know. I wouldn't go there, and I don't expect him to go there. But just real quick, if Jim Harbaugh does go, I would love to see Michigan just make a run at PJ Fleck. I don't think it's going to happen, but I love PJ Fleck. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about PJ Fleck, but he's just a leader of men. And I love awesome. PJ Fleck. He is. For those who don't know who PJ Fleck is, he is the head coach of Minnesota. And Minnesota has been a very bad college team in like the past 10, 15 years. And he hasn't quite like reached them to like obviously the highest point of football, but he's definitely pulled them out of their rut. And he's just a fun guy too. So
it's funny that you guys were talking about the Colts head coaching job because Jeff Saturday is a serious candidate for that job despite having a 1-7 record as a head coach. I think that's horrible. More Colts news. Colts quarterback Matt Ryan says he currently has no plans to retire, and Indianapolis is expected to release him this offseason. So that's something to note. I do have a lot more points. I'm trying to kind of breeze through the ones that don't have too many talking points. One that I thought was just funny that popped up on my feed. Mitch Trubisky says that he regrets signing so quickly with the Steelers. Quote, everything happened so quick. I didn't really have long time to think about the decision. I wish I could have taken some more time and not just signed the first day of free agency. Yeah, it's all right. Rookie move, man. Cardinals are firing head coach Cliff Kingsbury. Ben.
I did a victory lap around my room when I saw that. I was so happy. For those who don't know, if you guys are just tuning in, this is like your first or second episode of the Pigskin Project. Like 20 weeks ago, before this even started, and like week 1 or 2 of the preseason, I told everyone the Cardinals were going to collapse, that Cliff Kingsbury was going to be gone. People need to stop hyping the Cardinals up as a playoff team, and I was called crazy. And now here we are, and I was right about everything. So,
Coach Tyler, this is one I really need your point of view on this. The Ravens have agreed to a 5-year, $100 million deal with linebacker Roquan Smith. Okay, now let me just.
I hate it, but I will. I'll hate it, but I'll go last. But I hate it for one reason, and we'll get there.
Yeah. So there's 3 points that I'd like to make. For one, that's literally like the same offer that the Bears tried to give him. Number 2, we have Jack Sanborn now, no big deal. And number 3 is what's gonna happen with Lamar. Sure, we'll talk about that one as a group. But Coach Tyler is another Bears fan. From Bears fan to Bears fan, what did you think about this?
Good for him because I love him. Think he's awesome. If we still ran the Vic Fangio defense, let's keep him. But running a 4-3, like anyone can step into that Mike role, okay? And you're gonna see if they're really special or not. And again, I run a 4-3. I have a very special middle linebacker. Yeah, this is high school. A college team that runs a 4-3 that everyone knows is Iowa. They're super special. Yeah, they have a very special middle linebacker. The Bears, Jack Sanborn, I said it when I was on here the first time. I thought that dude is going to be everything. And it's funny because you say that, popped up a tweet. It's hard to argue to pay an off-the-ball linebacker $20 million a year when Jack Sanborn stepped up, played extremely well considering his experience and all the Bears' needs. Like
from the linebacker position?
Yeah, well, just they need DB depth, O-line, interior D-line, money for Jalen Johnson because I love Jalen Johnson. Mm-hmm. And I don't like Cole Kmet, but he's getting better. So you can pay him too, and you can pay about anyone you want. So paying Roquan that kind of money, and that just tells you the Ravens don't want to run that offense anymore. Mm-hmm. My favorite video, and I watched it all day today, it was Lamar Jackson rolling out, Mark Andrews wide open in the back of the end zone, throwing his hands up.
Yep.
Up with him.
I love it.
That's you can't that's Lamar, roll out, cool, go make a play. But if you want to survive in this league, you have to learn to throw the ball. And that's Cam Newton's downfall. Mm. He learned too late that you can't run and do all that stuff. You have to have the mobility, yes, to escape, keep your eyes downfield, and throw.
Which, might I add, as a Bears fan, seeing that from Fields just a little bit, and I think that it's something they're going to work on too because of GM Ryan Poles' comments on how he needs to improve a little bit more as a passer, but he's done a great job so far as a runner. Ben, your thoughts on the Roquan situation?
Okay, so the one gripe I have about it is, why are you paying $20 million an off-ball linebacker when you still have to play your franchise QB? We've seen how bad the Ravens are without Lamar Jackson, who, might I add, might not even play this week. Probably
an
won't play
uphill
this
battle.
week. Yeah, they're 3-1, or they're 1-3 without him this season. They've played awful, but it still drives me off the walls that people bring this up. Talking about Lamar not being able to pass a football. The year he won the MVP, he led the league in passing touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know like where this narrative is. And I think too, and that's a great outlook for the Bears fans, is if he can learn to do it, he can be awesome. I mean, we saw when Lamar has been able to throw the football and run the football. I mean, he was the best weapon in like football. I mean, I'm not going to say history, but one of the best weapons in football history.
The best quarterback in the NFL is
best quarterback.
Amazing in on the run situations when he's throwing the ball downfield, and that is Patrick Mahomes. He can do a phenomenal job of doing that. If he can figure that out, that's great.
Yeah. So it's an awesome outlook if he can learn how to do it. And I do think coming into his rookie year, and while this might not be Justin Fields' rookie year, I'm going to classify it as his rookie year.
Mm-hmm.
I do think Lamar showed his rookie year, or let's say first year, he was a better passer than what Fields did his first year. But as a prospect, too, Justin Fields was a significantly better passer than what Lamar is. And that's what I'm saying. If Lamar can learn how to do it, I'm not going to say Justin Fields is going to be an MVP quarterback, but he could definitely learn how to pass if Lamar can learn how to pass.
Listen, I'm fine with Justin running 500 yards a year, right? Do your thing, make those special type runs. But when you watch Jalen Hurts, right, you're an Eagles fan, when he escapes stuff and his eyes are still downfield and he throws dots, that's something special, not just take off and go, because Justin Fields makes all these great plays. But if you see, obviously, if you're watching on TV, it's hard to see the broader of the field. But like you can, there's someone open, and who I don't care if it's Dante Pettis, you got to throw it to him.
Right.
Like, see that, because you're going to see a stupid arm talent. And I think Justin in the pocket is where he needs to be better.
Yeah.
Rolling out, that's his best friend, and he's so great on it. And Ryan said Patrick Mahomes, dude dances around, but he never runs for a yard. He'll run for 20 in the back and then just find a dude open. That's what the NFL is changing to. You're not going to have those straight drop back quarterbacks anymore. You need the guys that can move a little bit, but not the guys that are running like this.
And it definitely makes a big impact as well if your quarterback's been sacked the most out of any quarterback in the entire league over the last 2 seasons.
Yep.
He's been sacked, I think it was 99 times over the last 2 seasons. And that was, that's the number now because he didn't start against Minnesota, but and he didn't play all of last year. So the thing is, if you need, like we said, I mean, he's a great pocket passer. If you watched him at all at Ohio State, that's like something he's amazing at. He can find somebody downfield and put it right in their breadbasket easily. But the thing is, he needs time to be able to do that. And if you don't give him that time, then he can't even get it across the middle because he's already going to be running. He doesn't have time to let the play develop as he needs. And that's probably one of the biggest points as far as the Bears can make. And hopefully they can make that, addition later on. And I think by not re-signing Roquan, that'll allow them, that gives them $20 million more to add to this current roster, which I love. That's the one point that I want to make in this whole Roquan debate, is that this is played out perfectly in terms of you got draft capital and you saved money towards it, and now you're developing an undrafted free agent to be a pretty good linebacker as well. Ben, you look like you had something to say.
Yeah, no, just the last point, because now we're talking about Justin Fields. No, to the last point before I move on to the next one. That's so important too, and it's a conversation you and Matt had that I think is just such a wildly overlooked thing when it comes to quarterbacks. Is they're just their pocket presence, and we see Trevor Lawrence's offensive line is not very good, and we see that in the run game. But I think Trevor Lawrence is like the 3rd or 4th least sacked quarterback in the NFL because his pocket, it's wild, it's off the charts. The way he can navigate the pocket, and that is so important. And I'm not saying Justin Fields is sacked 99 times because of it, but that needs to be a step he needs to take because he's a great runner, but he needs to learn how to navigate the pocket when to step up, when to move left, when to move right a little bit more.
You ready for this? I will make a bold take right here, right now, before we move on to this next point. You take away of maybe a third, maybe even a quarter of the sacks that he had this season, and he'll be a top 10 quarterback.
We'll see.
I hope so.
The next point, Jadeveon Clowney believes there's a 95% chance he won't be in Cleveland next season. Former running back Peyton Hillis is in critical condition after saving his kids from drowning. Prayers to him, as we always do. Next point, the Raiders are doing their research and are looking into acquiring Tom Brady or Jimmy Garoppolo this offseason. There's a trade-up candidate. Call them immediately. And then last but not least, in weekly news, Cardinals plan to attempt to trade star wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins this offseason. We will dive into that later. But that'll lead us into our next segment, which is just overreactions. I only have one. I don't have a lot from this previous week. I'm just going to dive right into it. That way we can get mine done and over with. Aaron Rodgers sucks now in big game situations. He's awful. The last, what was it? I want to say it was 3 seasons. He had a divisional game, an NFC championship game, and a playoff clinching. All of those were able to go to the next step. And he lost every single one of them. And I cannot stress this enough. It's not just the quarterback's fault, but he played a significant part in that. And I want to say all 3 games. As far as last year in that NFC championship game, that was, a freezing cold game, but his stat line was not impressive whatsoever. This previous year, that was probably the most interceptions he's thrown in a long time. And he threw 2 of them, almost 3 in last game against the Lions, which, I didn't think had that great of a defense this year. And then just, a couple of years ago as well with that divisional loss as well, doesn't look like he can finish it. And the worst part about it is that he's at home. Like, what's going on, man? That's my reaction for the week.
I don't know. I know you say that, and I do think it's just a decline, but to be able to say he's not good in big games and stuff like that, I think I can't quite get there. He was down 14 to the Cowboys just like 4 or 5 weeks ago. Maybe it's probably longer than 4 or 5 weeks ago. But he was down like 14 points going into the fourth quarter, I think, of the Cowboys game, and they end up coming back and winning it. So I don't think it's a matter. I think he's declining with age, and I don't think his team around him is as good. And I think with that age is coming his ability to like impact the game as much. But to say he can't do it completely, I think is a little bit of an overreaction.
I'll say it once and I'll say it again before I let Coach Tyler in. If I'm Green Bay, I'm at least fielding calls on him if he's not going to retire.
Yes.
Especially because he has so much name value attached to him. If he is slowly, on that decline, I think he's still worth first round, value. Obviously, he's Aaron Rodgers. He was back-to-back MVP before this season. Like, this is, pretty big. That's huge. And I think that if you could get rid of that, the Packers would have to kind of sacrifice that, but they also have Jordan Love that's also just sitting there, and you'd be a waste of a first round pick if you don't see what he's got. So that's what I'm doing. But Coach Tyler, what's your thought?
Yeah, I agree. I think Aaron Rodgers is, and hey, that's not an overreaction to me. That dude is terrible. I've never even heard of him. So, but yeah, I think he wants to be gone. So
it's I really think it's a product of him playing in the division. Your guys' hatred for him. But you were talking in one of the weekly news is about the Raiders looking at Tom Brady, looking at Jimmy. I would not be at all surprised if they end up trading back to like pick 17, 18, 19 in that range, and then flipping that for Aaron Rodgers. And teaming Aaron Rodgers back up with Devontae,
which would be a very, very big thing too, because look at that offense. And the defense is pretty good too. You have Max Crosby on the opposite side, which one of my favorite players on the whole team.
And we've seen in your division, the Vikings, I think, like throughout the entire season, are like negative 64 in point differential, which means like they have been outscored 64 points throughout the entire season.
They're frauds.
But they've been a master at winning close games. And on the flip side, I think the Packers are 1-7 in a single score game. And it's crazy to see how much stuff that changes. And I think next year you have Aaron Rodgers in, and that 1-7 in close games and one score games can flip to 7-1.
I'll say this really quick. I hope to God that they keep Aaron Rodgers. I really do. Because they're not going to get any better. Alan Lazard looks like he wants out. I have hope for Christian Watson, and I think that they'll get together if he does stay, and I think that he'll make significant strides next season. But in terms of maintaining that roster, it's going to be very hard with the cap that they have. But overall, I mean, you know, you talk about the Raiders maybe getting him in that trade. You know, with that, you have Devontae Adams, you have Darren Waller, which is, I mean, his great tight end that he likes. You know, he's got Josh Jacobs in there as well, he broke the record, I believe, or a record or something like that, a rushing leader maybe. But anyways, I mean, he was a great.
Don't forget about the Alabama killer, Hunter Renfrow.
Hunter Renfrow was great too. So, I mean, he's got a great offense set up. He could excel in this offense as well, but I mean, you've got options and you've got backup options, and Tom Brady and Jimmy Garoppolo. Raiders are going to be all right. But Aaron Rodgers is not going to be a Packer if I'm the GM of the Packers for much longer. I don't know. Let's move on. Ben, any overreactions?
Yeah. So I have 3 for you guys. I technically have 4, but we can save the 4th one. I'll zoom through it, and then if you guys have any talking points at the end that you guys want to say, go for it. The Texans coaching job. No one in the world is going to want that coaching job. I think we've seen it. We saw it last year, and we saw it this year. When we if you don't have a good team around them, and we know the Texans don't have a good team around them going into this year, people predicted, you know, not to poop on you guys too much, but people predicted the Texans and the Bears to be the worst 2 teams in the NFL. Everyone knew Texans weren't going to be good. And for some reason, we're firing our head coaches for the team not being good. And this happened twice now. I don't think anyone wants to be the head coach of that team. I mean, obviously someone will, because someone wants to take the jump forward, but I would be scared to be the head coach of that team, knowing I don't have talent around me. And because of that, this front office, the people who own the team, are going to be quick to fire me as well. So I don't think anyone wants a Texas job. The Titans are in a very scary situation, just team building wise. They need a quarterback. They need a whole bunch of linemen. And Derrick Henry is looking like he's finally showing his age. And then the Cowboys will always find a way to be the Cowboys. So
yeah,
Cowboys choke. That's part of being a Cowboys fan. So.
Yeah, you reminded me of a point that I forgot to make in weekly news, which I was very excited for, and I wanted to discuss this at least a little bit. So when it comes to Hard Knocks, the Bears, Saints, Jets, and Commanders are the 4 teams eligible to host Hard Knocks in August. The Bears, I think, would be a lot of fun. There are only 2 teams out of this that I find interesting enough to where you can have a debate to have this, and that would be the Bears and the Jets. The Jets have a quarterback controversy going on, and you'd probably want to follow that. You also have a very good rising offense surrounding that quarterback controversy, and then a very good defense as well. And I believe that they have some more cap space to work around, and a pretty solid first-round pick as well. So just something to note. Coach, I'm sure that makes you pretty excited as well. So just maybe see some Bears Hard Knocks.
I love Hard Knocks, so
it'd be so much fun. We got to go to a training camp day at some point. That'd be fun.
Yes.
But okay. So you talk about the Cowboys.
Yep.
I don't know. Do you want to? I can expand on that point, but I would say let's move on so that we could segue to that segment, and then I will.
Yep, we'll get to it. I know exactly where you're going with that.
All right. Really quick, what we're going to do is I'm going to share my screen with the NFL playoff picture just to kind of go over it. The Chiefs have clinched the 1 seed. The Bills have clinched 2. Bengals at 3, Jaguars at 4, Chargers at 5, Ravens at 6, Dolphins at 7, and then Eagles at 1, 49ers at 2, Vikings at 3, Buccaneers at 4, Cowboys at 5, Giants at 6, and Seahawks at 7. Looking at this, there's a couple teams I don't think belong here in terms of fraudulent play, but who cares? That's going to be it for playoff picture. Really, I just wanted to catch everybody up. But the part that I wanted to speak on was upset alert. And we talk about upsets and we talk about the Cowboys. The Buccaneers are going to be hosting the Cowboys. It's going to be in Tampa. And Tom Brady has yet to lose to the Cowboys. He is 7-0. And that's going to be a very interesting point to make. At the moment, I believe the Cowboys are favorited in that matchup. For those eligible, for those able to put any money down, I would never put money on the Buccaneers in this situation. I don't think that that's smart money at all. But I mean, when it comes to that, though, you have to at least look at it because I just don't even touch this game, honestly. But I mean, Cowboys, you bet for them because they look pretty decent. They also have Dak Prescott that can totally just run the ball up the
okay. I don't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry. When are we going to stop having the conversation of Dak Prescott being an elite quarterback? He led the league in interceptions and he missed 4 games.
Yeah. Dude, he's bad. And the funniest part about that is me saying that he was a top 10 quarterback at the start of our podcast.
And did I not point it out too? I pointed it out too before the season that people need to calm down on him. And I even said I'd rather take Kirk Cousins than him. And I was called crazy as well. Here we are.
So bad. So yeah, I don't know. That's one of my upsets that could happen. Ravens and Bengals I could also see happening potentially depending on whether or not Lamar comes back. Right now it's an uphill battle. And then Giants and Vikings. I don't care. I'm putting the Vikings here as long as they are still in it. They are not playoff worthy. They will not make it to the Super Bowl. You can sit here and quote me. I do not care. I am not a believer in the Vikings. Not going to happen. Giants can potentially upset them. And I'm looking forward to seeing playoff Saquon Barkley. That's going to be fun. Ben, any other ones?
I had the two upsets I had circled were the Cowboys and Bucks. And then that team, again, on the flip side there, again, we talked about them winning close games. Statistically, this is also Kirk Cousins' worst season, and their defense is not playing very well either. I think it's ironic that me and you have both made the flip on the Vikings because going into the year, we're both very high on the Vikings. And then the other team I think is worth watching out for. I don't want to put it on an upset because I think the spread is within 3 points. So it's not I wouldn't consider it an upset, but the closest game I think this week is going to be the Chargers-Jags. And that's probably going to be the game that I have the most fun watching as well. I just think it's going to be a really fun game. And I think I could see that going either way. I think the Jags are considered the upset, but I do not consider it like an upset. I think they're both equally as good. So,
Coach, do you have any upsets potentially this week?
I mean, it's the Giants over the Vikings. I'm all for it. Saquon, probably the best defensive tackle in football, and Dexter Lawrence. Obviously because Aaron Donald didn't play a lot, but that I'm all for it. Jalen Smith is looking like Jalen Smith of old. I'm happy. I'm all Giants, baby.
All right. Well, without further ado, let's go ahead and move on.
You think you know football? Well, prove it. This is Pigskin Pick'em.
So I have an award to hand out to one of my closest friends, obviously. Ben, congratulations. You won the regular season record predictions. You had a better one than me. I applaud that because you had one heck of a comeback, man. I was up on you for majority of the season if we weren't tied. You finished with a 166, 103-3 record. And I finished with a 162, 107-3 record. So it was pretty close. I think most analysts and I don't want to call it any specific company, but as far as analysts go, I think that they would really like a record like that this late in the season.
We finished above most of them. It's not to call out a certain company, obviously, but their average was like around 152 to 155, and we finished like 10 games in front of them.
So pretty solid. But we don't have that many games to predict this week. I myself, I don't think that scores are necessary this week, given that we've already used up a big chunk of time. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start with our Saturday games. Let's start with Coach, and then we'll go on to Ben, and then I will go last. So Coach, Seahawks and 49ers.
49ers, best defense in football.
I like it. Ben?
Yep. Yeah. And this is the 3:30 game for you guys. And I'm also going Niners.
All right. I will go Niners as well. Chargers at Jaguars.
Jaguars.
Yep. I really wanted to go to the Jaguars, but the Jaguars played any other team than the Titans last week. They probably would have lost. For that reason, I'm going to pick the Chargers, and that's Saturday at 7:15.
I'm going with the Jaguars. And I'm very tempted. This is a close game. This really is.
Saying. Yeah.
And I mean, I'm really happy that they put this one on Saturday in its own time slot as well, because it deserves it. This is going to be a good game. And I think Trevor Lawrence is going to get his first playoff win. Dolphins at Bills. This is the start of the Sunday game, or Sunday slate.
Bills.
Yep. All right. Keep in mind as well, Tua has officially been ruled out. So has Teddy Bridgewater. Skylar Thompson is going to make his second start. Ben?
So Sunday noon, I'm going with Bills. It's wild that Teddy isn't playing, by the way. It's a pinky injury. Come on now, buddy. Suck it up.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Bills.
I'm also going with the Bills. Giants at Vikings.
Giants.
Yep. Sunday at 3:30. I'm going Giants.
I'm going Vikings on this. I'm going to be stupid and call them out and say that they're not going to make it, but I'm saying they'll be on upset alert. I'm saying there's going to be potential for an upset, and I'm gonna ride with them for right now. But it's going to be a very uneasy ride, I feel. Ravens at Bengals.
Bengals.
Unless Lamar plays, which I would be very, very surprised he does. I'm going Bengals at Sunday Night Football.
I will also go Bengals. This one's going to be tough to beat Cincinnati in Cincinnati. So, Cowboys at Buccaneers.
Buccaneers, unfortunately.
Yeah. I'm right there with you. Yep, this is Monday Night Football. I'm going Buccaneers.
I'm going Cowboys. I think that Mike McCarthy is going to be making an adjustment.
Mike McCarthy making any adjustment.
Learning from his mistakes and overcoming the Buccaneers. So that'll do it for Pigskin Pick'em. Pretty solid, easy week there. But now we talk about which wide receivers are potentially on the market. And this tweet was from Kyle Yates at Kyle Y NFL on Twitter. Last offseason, we saw A.J. Brown dealt because he was eligible for a new contract after his rookie deal, and Tennessee couldn't afford him. So here's some of the wide receivers that are now eligible for contracts. Can we see any of these players traded in the next few months? Those top 10 being Jerry Jeudy, CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, Brandon Ayuk, T. Higgins, Michael Pittman Jr., Gabe Davis, Darnell Mooney, KJ Osborne, and Donovan Peoples-Jones. Not to mention, we already previously mentioned, DeAndre Hopkins is on the trade market. He's going to be making $27.5 million over the next 2 seasons on his contract. That's his remaining 2 seasons, and he's 30 years old as well. So let's talk about potential places that these players can go. And
And then real quick, too, I'm going to throw a player. I don't know. This has not gotten covered at all, which is just absolutely bonkers to me. This has gone completely under the radar. I think it was either today or last night. Dante Johnson has completely erased everything Steelers related from his social media on Twitter and Instagram. He's deleted all Steelers photos. He's taken the Steelers out of his bio and everything. And maybe he's just doing a social media cleanse. And that's what people say. But I just think it's something to watch out for. And it was a name that we told people to watch out for even just last offseason.
I said that he was going to be a Bear, and I like that. I think that
I
he's
should just
really
Claypool.
so. You did, and I'll give you that. Right now, it's not really panning out as good as I thought that it would, but I
especially
think
now that it's a first-round pick. I mean, it's not a first-round pick, but it's pick 32.
Let's not get caught up on a technicality now.
Yeah,
all right, we're trying to make the Bears look good. No, so anyways, no. What I do want to say really quick, you saw significant strides between Justin Fields and Darnell Mooney in the offseason, or I mean, after this offseason, and obviously there was chemistry and everything, especially with him and Cole Kmet as well. So within the growth of Darnell Mooney, and as just generally a receiver, and maybe not even statistically, what I really want to emphasize on this offseason, I'm not going to make a call on whether or not this was a good trade until maybe about the middle of next season, because I'd like to see what Justin Fields and Chase Claypool can get done in the offseason. I think Chase Claypool has the mentality to get to that next step as well, especially because he's fighting for a new contract at the end of the season. So we're going to have Darnell Mooney and Chase Claypool. I think at the end of the day, they're probably going to have to pick between one or the other, unless both of them kind of have this breakout year and the Bears trade for one of these guys too. So I'm going to turn it to, I don't know, whoever wants to talk first on who's their favorite, I guess, and what it's going to take to get them.
Coach, you can go for it.
Well, I mean, my big favorite out of the guys you said is Brandon Ayuk.
Yes, thank you.
Unfortunately, that dude is probably, I know Deebo Samuel's there, but that's wide receiver 1 at San Francisco. He's that. Yeah. He's Jamar before Jamar even got to the league. Jamar Chase, like he's doing the quick, nice whip routes. He's doing the slants, the goes. He's catching everything, taking the hits. Not really that big body type guy, but the dude that can be that big body type. It would take the Bears a lot, unfortunately, because of how great he's doing. I think there's a bunch of different wide receiver names I want, but I said him earlier. I want DK Metcalf, but that's
yeah.
I think that's a little. Actually, I think that's more reason. I think that's more doable than a lot of people might think.
I really quick, I don't mean to cut you off. What I would like to do really quick is cross off some of the receivers I think are definitely going to stay. Yes. That being Justin Jefferson's the easy one. CeeDee Lamb, I would believe would probably stay. Yes. Unless they decide to blow it up after Mike McCarthy blows it this weekend. Darnell Mooney, I think, is staying for sure. At least for the next year. I don't think that they'll trade him.
For the next year, yeah.
I'm not sold on anybody else. No, you say Brandon Ayuk. I'll cross him off just for right now. Michael Pittman, I'm going to say is safe because the Colts are going to be getting a new quarterback probably. T. Higgins, maybe?
T. Higgins where it gets weird. I think T. Higgins is – I don't think they're going to trade T. Higgins.
Jerry Jeudy?
Jerry Jeudy, I could absolutely – of everyone that you named, Jerry Jeudy is the name that comes to mind for me for like most likely to be traded out of that list. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think he's going to be traded. But to T. Higgins, I don't know if T. Higgins will be a Bengal at the start of like 2 years from now, I guess. Not next season, but the season after. But I don't think they'll trade him. I just think he might sign somewhere else. But yeah, I think Jerry Jeudy's probably the most intriguing / realistic option of that list.
I wanna extend on that thought, and then I'll let you keep going. The Broncos have $14.2 million in cap space going into this offseason, and next year they will have 84.2 before any kind of changes are made and anything like that. So I could definitely agree with you and say that he could be a potential trade target for somebody looking for a wide receiver. I'll let you continue.
No, and then the thing though is I don't think there's going to be a lot of big name trades at the wide receiver like it was last season. Because again, last season we saw AJ Brown, Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams. I don't think it's going to be anywhere near as big as that, but I think the market is going to be expensive because there are a lot of teams that need it. The Giants need wide receivers. The Ravens need wide receivers. The Falcons need wide receivers. The Packers need wide receivers. Titans need wide receivers. The Bears need wide receivers. So much more than even last year. There's a very big need for wide receivers, especially now that we're seeing the wide receiver 2 in the offenses like being a very bigger role.
So, watch the Giants. Watch out for the Giants is what I'm going to say. You look at, Daniel Jones's development and what he can do. I think Brian Dabble is doing a pretty solid job so far. And I think that if he were to get somebody that he can even take the next step, as of right now, he doesn't have the greatest wide receiver room. What I will say, they have $57.2 million going into this offseason, and the next season they have $179 million. So that's a lot of money that they could totally designate other areas. And obviously, I mean, if anybody knows how, cap space works, it just keeps going and adding. If you're good with, handling the cap room, like my Bears that have it for the most in the next 2 years. But yeah, I mean, Jerry Jeudy, that's definitely a target, especially, somebody else we didn't mention, somebody who requested a trade and emphasized his trade request this week is Brandon Cooks. That is
poor
not
dude's
good.
Poor dude's been everywhere.
I mean, I don't know. What's your guys' thoughts on him? Because we didn't even think about him.
I like him as a wide receiver. I think he's an underrated wide receiver. But I don't like him for the Bears. I think he's I think he's Darnell Mooney-esque. I think he would be playing the same role in this offense that Darnell Mooney is. Obviously, he's a little bit quicker than Darnell Mooney, and I think Darnell Mooney does the small things better than he does. Mm-hmm. But I think he's playing the same role. So as a wide receiver, I like him a lot. But not so much for the Bears.
He's making $18 million this year and making $13 million next year. And then he's a free agent. This year being 2023, next year being 2024. He's a free agent in 2025. He's also 29 years old. Will be turning 30 later this year. So just something to note. Coach?
I just, if we didn't have Darnell Mooney, cool. But I think the NFL is reverting back to the old ways. And the old ways is big, physical, wide receivers. And if you already have a slot guy, and we have a slot guy in Darnell Mooney, I think he's pretty good. He's not a wide receiver 1. He ain't a wide receiver 2, but he'll beat a lot of people in the slot. So I don't want Cooks. I want a big physical guy. Yeah, Chase Claypool's big and physical, but I want a bigger, faster, physical dude.
Fair.
Cedric Tillman will be there in the 3rd round if that's who you want.
Jonathan Mingo, and
I like Mingo. He is like he was all of Ole Miss's offense. And any single time you turn on Ole Miss,
and who's the other? And the other kid from Ole Miss, the other senior receiver that's 6'3".
I know who you're talking about. I'm blanking on his name just because, again, when you turn on Ole Miss's offense, it's Jonathan Mingo.
Yep.
And then A.T. Perry out of Wake Forest. I think
love him.
Another dude to watch.
I'm sold on the Bears getting a 2nd-round receiver and Rashee Rice.
Rashee Rice, he's my guy. I love Rashee Rice.
I mean, I convinced myself when I did my homework on the draft and everything last episode, which, Coach, I believe you were there for.
Malik Heath.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Rashee Rice. He's 6'3", I think, and I think he's gonna be quicker than what people think. He's very smooth. He's not like super quick, but he's a very smooth route runner. The only issue with him is playing at SMU. He didn't have a lot of route tree, but I don't think that's a big deal. Who else didn't have a big route tree and people overreacted? Justin Jefferson. I'm not saying that he's gonna be Justin Jefferson, but I think people complaining about route trees is the most wildly overrated problem when you're looking at prospects and wide receivers. I think Rashee Rice, if he's there in the 2nd round, I don't even know if he will. I think he's
just give me a George Pickens. That's it. Just give me a George Pickens.
Yeah, you guys Kyle
look,
Gordon.
no,
Anyways,
stop.
besides the point. No,
Stop.
I would much you would much rather have him.
At the end of the year, he was showing strides and growth and everything to where he could be a potential, starter later on as well. I think that he's going to be just fine. But I think George Pickens is going to be a difference maker for sure down the road. And I don't think Deontay Johnson is going to be a Steeler for all that much longer, despite the fact he just signed a contract extension. But I mean, Pickens looks good. Better than Kyler Gordon right now, I won't lie. But in terms of Kyler Gordon, I'm not upset at the pick right now. I'm not, oh, this is a waste. Why'd you do this and blah blah. I'm not gonna be bitter about it, man. He looked all right, and there's not a lot of the defense to work around too. I think if you add more pressure to it, I think that you're gonna force a quarterback to make the wrong decision, and that's gonna prompt Kyler Gordon to make a little bit more plays. So
listen, I'm a dude that I hate blitzing, okay, but I'm changing my system actually a little bit for our school, and I'm bringing a ton of pressure like in the future, because that's just how you have to do it. People, you don't win with 4 down linemen anymore. You can, okay. 49ers do it quite a bit, and it's just you bring pressure. That's how you save corners.
It works. Trust me. But I don't know. I think that should. Oh wait, no. I guess I should talk about my favorite person on this list. Just to watch, Donovan Peoples-Jones. I don't think has a pricey, like a huge price tag. I almost said a pricey price tag. That sounds stupid. No, but Donovan Peoples-Jones, DPJ. That would be so much fun, and it's not a big attractive name either. It's just he is so much fun to watch. I would love that. I mean, I think he's a deep threat. I think that you could get that to him. And if it costs, I don't know, what do you think that he costs? Maybe a third round pick, maybe?
Oh, you could probably get him. You could probably get him for a fourth, honestly, dude.
I was going to say third or fourth.
And it makes me happy too that you like DPJ and Rashid Rice, because they're darn near the same player.
Yeah.
They're carbon copies of each. I do think Rashid Rice is gonna be a bit better than he is, but like it makes sense that you like Rashid Rice and DPJ because they play the same game.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and move it to. I mean, Ben, you've got a segment, buddy.
Pro football isn't the only game in town. Let's take a stroll to Ben's College Corner.
Here we go.
This is the last time we're doing this season.
Yes.
There'll be plenty of draft talk. Draft is my favorite thing in all of football. As you guys have even just seen this episode.
PFF's
but this
getting
is the
frustrating though. Draft Network, get it going.
Yeah, Draft Network needs to get it going. PFF's mock draft simulator is awful. That's besides the point. This is the last one. And obviously I would be remiss to not talk about the TCU Georgia game. Georgia just absolutely slaughtered TCU. It wasn't even close. And then there's a conversation point I wanted to ask both of you guys. I know people are very excited for the expansion of the 12-man or the 12-team college football. But I think there's a big issue that we're not talking about when it comes to that. We just saw Georgia, like I said, slaughter TCU. At the halftime of that game, people stopped watching that. And this is going to be the issue with the 12-man football team. There is a clear difference between the top 2 or 3 programs of college football and everyone else. And I think when we do the 12-man football, it's going to be, or the 12-team football, it's going to be awesome, because now we see underdogs and teams like Bama who probably should have made it and didn't. But also now we're going to be stuck watching some pretty gosh darn bad games. And I think it is a scary conversation that people aren't talking enough about. So, I mean, we saw Cincinnati, who was, I think, the first non-Power 5 team to make it in last year. They got killed. We even saw Michigan last year against Georgia get killed. And I think we're opening up the door, as much as I like Tulane and as much as Tulane came back and beat USC. If Tulane is playing 12-0 Georgia, they're going to get slaughtered just as much. And I think we need to take that into account, because everyone complains about how not unfair, but lopsided these scores are when it's 4-man. When it's going to be 12-man, it's going to be even worse, and I don't think people are talking about. And then the other one, I do a prospect breakdown every week, and I would be, again, remiss to not talk about linebacker on this episode. the one linebacker I have, and I'll go over him. I'll do the prospect breakdown, and I am certain that after I'm done talking about him, Coach Tyler will talk about him. Again, for those who don't know, as we guys told you guys at the opening of this podcast, Coach Tyler is the defensive coordinator at Calumet, but back at our high school, he was the linebacker coach. So he does know a thing or two about linebackers. And again, he was all over Jack Sanborn last year, who's come on and been, I wouldn't say defensive piece, but has been a very nice player for the Bears.
He's all right.
Surprise.
He's all right.
Yes. So the linebacker that I want to talk to you guys about, my number 2 linebacker in the class outside of Trenton Simpson, but Jack Campbell plays middle linebacker versus Trenton Simpson's off the ball linebacker. So that does make Jack Campbell the number 1 middle linebacker, in my opinion, in this draft. He's 6'5", 243 pounds, and plays at Iowa. And I know Coach Tyler talked a little bit about him a little bit before, but as you guys could see him at 6'3", 243, he's huge frame. And with that comes a great downhill defender. If he sees the gap, he's going to pull the trigger and he's going to go. And he's shown to be a good shallow/flat defender. So your hooks, your curls, your flats. And obviously being that big, he's a good tackler and he's an amazing hitter. And I think almost immediately, even if he goes to a team where he has to sit, he's going to be an awesome special teamer. He even plays special teams at Iowa, which is crazy that your starting linebacker does that, but he did anyways. But the issue and the reason he's not my number 1 linebacker in this class is being 6'5", 243 pounds, you should be able to get off blocks better than what he does. I'm not saying that he's bad at it. Being that big, you should be able to do a little bit better. And honestly, I think it's not that he doesn't have the ability, because he's shown to do it, but being that big, your leverage isn't quite there. And so I think he needs to have better leverage. And I think effort is a really big concern with him as well. If he doesn't think a play is coming his way, he kind of just gives up. And we actually saw that hurt him when he played Michigan in a lot of the misdirection runs with Blake Corum. And his with that poor effort concerns also comes some bad angles at times. Like, he's athletic for his size and he should be able to get out to make tackles, but he makes some pretty poor angles. And then the last concern I have with him is, while he's a really good flat defender, we really haven't had to see him play middle of the field defender and cover your tight ends. I'm not saying he can't do it. We just haven't seen it. So, but that's my breakdown on Jack Campbell. I am sure, again, he's awesome. Like, and this is what I said, if you're playing in a defense where you're not asking your linebacker to do much and you're playing in this old school defense, and you just need your linebacker to come down and get him, he is your guy. If you need him to cover, you probably want Trenton Simpson a little bit more. And again, I know I don't sound like I love this guy, but he is my number 2 backer in this class. I would be very surprised if he's not an early day 2 pick at worst. But again, I'm sure Coach Tyler has a lot more glowing things to say about him.
Yeah. Obviously, I love Jack Campbell because I'm a huge 4.3 guy. Dude looks like Brian Urlacher. He's freak. He's like, linebackers changed. It's a position where athletes go that aren't good enough to be running backs, but athletic enough to do something. I think that's Trenton Simpson, a kid not born to play linebacker. I think he's an athlete who can, and he's that off the ball outside backer that's going to cover people, and he's great. He's awesome. Jack Campbell was born to play linebacker, and in the system that Iowa runs, they run a quarters defense. Okay. And that's what I've been learning a lot about. It's not just a 4-3, it's a 4-3 quarters defense. And why Iowa's defense is top of the nation is because their commitment to the run, and the linebacker's number 1 goal in the Iowa defense is the trigger on run. So as times that he does look and he's trying to watch, it's because he got that run read. It's just he went too quick from line to running back. So I can agree on that. And that's why your angles get bad, is because when you fast trigger to the line, you can't take your 45 as good towards the line of scrimmage and track that near hip to make those tackles. And I agree everything you said about him. Love him to death, though. I think that's it's going to be a shocking guy that goes third or fourth round probably. And maybe if someone pulls the trigger in the second, he's just someone I think is going to change a franchise, because something I like to look at other schools, has Iowa produced another starting middle linebacker? And yeah, that team's terrible, but Josie Jewell, quiet dude that comes in here and gets tackles and does what you need him to do. And Jack Campbell, I think he's that guy that might just change a fortunes of a defense. Yeah, D-line wins, having great secondary is great, but when you have a guy running that middle, I will always stand by it, and this is because I'm biased, linebackers run it. And when you guys when we were at Wheeler, we had what I think this would have been, I don't know if you guys were there with Brad, right? You guys weren't there.
I was there for Brad and
Traficani.
Yep, Anthony.
And then after, obviously, Max Mortimer,
Max, yeah.
When you saw them when they weren't out there, the difference it made, because that's one player. So technically 10 other kids should step up. My middle linebacker at Calumet, I'll say his name, I don't care. Alex Ponce, he had 100. He was actually top 5 in the nation going into week 9 in tackles. And he had a lot of assisted, because it's hard to get solo tackles, but he runs everything. So when he left, that affected my defense on what I can call. So, and that's the same at the college level. When you don't have that guy, if you just have role players there, recruits, okay, fine. But when they're not there, Clemson's championship teams, Ben Boulware, the least talented player on that entire football team, but he made the biggest impact on that team because of what he did for Brent Venables. And linebackers are the second coaches on the field. And Jack Campbell is a coach on the field that changes your franchise.
Yeah, and it's strange too, because now, like you said, we're playing a lot of quarters defense now, and it's the linebacker position is such a weird position. I wouldn't say weird position, because the way NFL defenses are coming, like those are your two standard types of linebackers now. Because with a lot of cover 4 now, because we're playing a lot of cover 4, because now we're seeing these speed guys. So now we're playing a lot of cover 4. So either you want your linebacker to come downhill and be your Jack Campbell, or you want your linebacker to be a Trenton Simpson, who is considered. It depends on the scheme you call him, but it's like the star is what I know it as. And it's fun to see. It'll be fun to see these two guys take a next step forward. But are there any other linebackers in this class that you really like?
I like Cedric Gray out of North Carolina because everyone asks me about the Bears, what they can get. Cedric Gray, he may just be a high draft pick. I don't know. I don't think so. That's a late rounder that you can get, that a guy started as corner. Again, a kid not born to play linebacker, but built himself to be a linebacker. And that's a perfect 4-3 outside. As Sanborn runs the middle of the defense, Cedric Gray can be that outside linebacker. I just don't like Nicholas Morrow. I don't like Joe Thomas. I don't like Matt Adams, or whatever their names are, if I got those wrong. Yeah, like they're just bad. So Cedric Gray is a dude that I would throw into the fire because of him covering people. He did that man-to-man at North Carolina. He played the flats. He did all that because you ain't going to get a Trenton Simpson.
No.
But, Cedric Gray's that's an underrated guy that people probably have not heard anything about.
Yep. And then just with the one last guy I wanted to talk about in terms of linebackers, DeMar Overshown out of Texas. I think he's going to be an amazing off-ball linebacker as well. I just think he's going to be a special guy that people are sleeping a little bit on, and maybe that's biased because I liked him last year and I thought he should have came out last year. But he's a senior this year. He's coming out, and I think he's just another off-ball linebacker people should watch name out for. And that being said, this is the way we're going to wrap up Ben's College Corner for the season. But stay tuned. With this being done, it's now mock draft season, and you guys will start seeing me and Ryan and other guests come on and create mock drafts with us. So it was a fun college season, and It'll be interesting to see how next season goes with all the NIL deals and with the transfers. And heck, next time we talk college football, maybe Jim Harbaugh won't even be the head coach of Michigan. So,
the Bears fans, stay tuned for the next guest as well. It should be a lot of fun. But without further ado,
It's time for America's favorite game, Weddle.
so lots of fun here, as we always do. Weddle. So, Ben, this is, the first time that we've done this in a couple weeks now. This is going to be a lot of fun. You're up at the moment 16-9, and Coach Tyler can totally steal a win from either one of us if he can step in and guess the player first. So, Ben, you won last time. I'm going to leave it up to you to decide the draft or the Weddle order, I guess.
We'll let Coach Tyler go first just to give him the most picks. Yeah, so we'll let Coach Tyler go first.
Okay.
Do you know how this game works, Coach Tyler, I'm assuming?
I did it way back in the day.
Okay.
I think we did this when we had episode 2. I don't remember. No, not yet.
Weddle has not been along. For us, at least, Weddle has not been a...
Just a refresher to anybody that's listening to the first time, and maybe even Coach Tyler if he needs it. So pretty much...
what are the records, do you know, off the top of your head?
It's 16. You're up 16-9. So I've only won 9 games. I have yet to go double digits, unfortunately. But yeah, so pretty much. So the first game, we kind of help each other out. So this is strictly offensive players, and I don't think this counts offensive line.
I think it's running backs. It's running backs, tight ends, quarterbacks, and wide receivers. And again, we get 8 picks, and you'll see it's like Wordle. If you're close, they'll give it to you. They'll do it yellow. If you're right, they'll give you green.
Well, okay, Coach Tyler, let's break it down. All right, Coach Tyler, give us any player in the league that's
on offense. What are those 4 positions?
David Montgomery.
Okay,
all right. Solid pick. I think he might come back. So 5'11" is for sure the height of the player. He is not a running back. He is not in the NFC. He's definitely not on the Bears as a result. He is a lot older than 25, and his jersey number is less than 32. Ben?
Yeah, so we know, like you said, we know he's not in the NFC, so it means he has to be in the AFC, and he's not a running back. His height is 5'11", and he's much older than 25. He's at least 2 years older than 25, which makes me think he's a wide receiver who plays for the Dolphins. I really think that he's Tyreek Hill.
All right.
Ooh.
I was going to say, I thought Tyreek Hill's a little bit shorter.
Yeah.
So he's either in the AFC North, South, or West.
Ooh, is he a quarterback that small?
And
what?
It would be a quarterback or a tight end. Okay. So off the top of my head, 5'11". I'm gonna go with Russell Wilson. Yeah. Okay. Well, that worked.
Yep.
All right. So let's go ahead and go off the hard mode, and Coach Tyler, you can go ahead and start us off.
And now we don't help each other out on this mode. We try to keep the chatter to a minimum.
Yeah.
So
Roquan Smith.
Just sniped it right here and gets it.
Yeah, right. Ben? Okay, just to say for anybody listening.
Yeah, offense on the AFC.
Offense on the NFC. That is a little bit taller than 6'1". He's a little bit younger than 25, and his jersey number is a lot less than 18.
Josh Palmer.
I've grown to like Josh Palmer this year. Why is he not?
Is he not on here?
Joshua.
Oh, he's in the.
He's 23.
Yeah, and he's
not in the AFC. He's on the offense. He's a little bit taller than 6'1". He's 23 years old. His jersey number is a little less than 5.
Ooh.
I mean, I'm gonna go ahead and do it. I don't think it's him, but Justin Fields, I guess. No, it is a quarterback. He's 23, 6'3". He's in the NFC North, and he's
not in the NFC North.
I want to say it's either he's jersey numbers 2 through 4 is probably the range that we're looking at. Coach Tyler. To play spoiler here.
I think I know who it is.
Yeah.
Trey Lance? No. Yeah, do Trey Lance. I know he's not 6'3", but
So
yeah.
it's going to be in the NFC South or NFC East. He's a quarterback, 6'3", 23, and his jersey numbers are a little bit less than 5.
Oh, it could be 2 people. Based off the number, I don't think. Okay, I'm gonna go with my guy. I'm gonna go with Matt Corral.
Not okay. It's not.
Oh no!
So
Come on, you know who this is.
I want to say, I want to say I do, but I'm kind of hesitant.
I'll help you. He played this. I'm pretty sure he played this week.
Okay, well then it's
That's who I
right
think
here.
it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
So the thing is, I was going to say, if you didn't help me out, and you've done this pretty much every time that I've won, I'm counting it still. You broke the rules. That's your choice. Whatever.
But yeah, it's my choice.
I was almost about to say Kyle Trask.
yeah.
Almost.
No, I got you. No, I was gonna help you. Yeah, of course. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna. I'm like,
I
I'm not
appreciate
gonna take
it.
the
You know
points
what?
away
At this
from you. I'm
point-
not gonna strip it away.
At this point, I need it. I'm
I
still down
thought for
6,
sure
so-
it was Matt Corral, which would have been a shame. I would have loved to see it.
All right, so now, I didn't finish my big board, but we're going to the next thing.
What's the name of the segment? Oh, you're not talking about Ryan and Ben? Oh, okay. Well, hold on. I've got it. It's time for Gridiron Goofs.
All right, so now what we're doing is a repeat of what we did on episode 2 with Coach Tyler. So what we did was pretty much a player draft. So nothing super crazy, and I know that normally we don't do it, make it football related and Gridiron Goofs, but this time around we are.
Yeah.
This time what we're drafting is quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, offensive line.
Two
and
wide
team.
receivers, right?
Yeah, just a quarterback, a running back, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, and then a team's offensive line, a defensive tackle, an edge rusher, a linebacker, and then 2 corners, and then a safety. So that is the list.
Snake it, and I feel like we should let Coach Tyler decide.
Okay. All right, cool. So Coach Tyler.
Oh,
We're gonna snake it. So you could have
Yeah.
back-to-back picks if you want to do 1 and 3, or you could just have the middle pick with 2.
What I'm gonna do is what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna have you guys read off your teams at the end of it to save me a little bit of time, because I used to jot it down
Yeah, I know.
Oh, that was awful. Anyways, yeah, just read off your teams at the end of it, but we will go ahead and get started. Coach Tyler, first overall pick.
well,
Does he want the first overall pick?
I'll take it. That's fine.
Okay.
I mean, hey, I love the air raid. That's one of the 2 systems I would do if I was a coach. And the dude had one of the coolest quotes, whether he said it or not, about the team's championship window. And if he's the championship, if he's on that team, their window is till his career is over, and it's Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow. Joe Shiesty off the board, first overall. All right, Ben.
Oh, giving me the middle pick.
Yes, I am. Following the same order as last time.
Fine. We're gonna go with the biggest mismatch here, and I don't really think it's close. Give me Travis Kelce.
Okay. He's not on my draft board. That's fine.
He's
So-
the biggest mismatch at tight end. It's Travis
snaking
Kelce
it.
and then everyone else.
We're snaking it, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. With the first overall pick, just to make Ben mad, I'm going with the Eagles offensive line.
That's okay.
Because to have a good team, I mean, a Bears fan would tell you it's probably offensive line. Next up, I'm gonna add a running back to go with that O line, and I'm gonna say Javonte Williams.
Over CMC and Eckler and Saquon?
So, and it's strictly off of age. He is very young.
Yeah, I
Javonte-
wouldn't. I don't know.
And here's the thing as well. We forgot to clarify at the start of it. we are not only just starting a franchise in this draft. What we're doing is starting a franchise based off of the performance of this year.
And
So-
Javonte went out. Javonte got hurt, dude.
He was playing fantastic before he got hurt. He would have been perfectly fine if he didn't get hurt, but that's like the one
know,
thing
I
that comes
drafted
with
him in my
football is
fantasy
injuries
league.
as well. So shut up. It's good. It's a good pick. I like it. Anyway,
Yes. Okay.
You're
That being said, we're gonna take the best linebacker in all of football. Give me Fred Warner.
you suck.
Okay. Just because I'm scared, y'all are gonna take him. I'm gonna choose the best defensive player in pro football, and Nick Bosa.
Okay. I'm gonna go defense as well.
He gets 2 picks,
Oh yes, no, you're right. My bad.
and then it's back to me.
Yeah, my bad.
Yeah.
Forgot how
Let's
sneak
get the best offensive line in football, and the Detroit Lions.
That's where I was going. That's a shame. Okay,
It's fine.
that's where I was gonna go with that pick too. I'm gonna go with the defensive player of the year runner up, and I'm gonna put him at my edge position, but really he can play linebacker or edge. Micah Parsons.
Okay. I'm gonna go back-to-back defense picks here. For my edge rusher, I'm going TJ Watt. And then for my defensive tackle, I'm gonna go Quinnen Williams.
I guess it's back to me. I could just take Dexter Lawrence just to spite Coach, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to take my first cornerback. Give me Patrick Surtain.
Let's go with Sauce Gardner.
Dang it.
Yeah.
Um,
And then I'm going to go with Jamar Chase.
Okay.
Okay. We're gonna go. We're gonna keep this trend up on defense. We almost filled out my defense, and I don't need to take offensive line. We're gonna give me the best safety in football as well, and give me Derwin James. That being said, like if you guys would have picked Derwin James in like Minka before me, I probably would have picked. I'm gonna butcher his name. That safety out of San Francisco. Tulawan Hofunga, I think is how you pronounce his name. So
What a dog.
yes. So
Okay. So for my next pick, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna split it. I'm gonna go offense and defense for my next two. I'm going Justin Jefferson for wide receiver 1. And then I'm gonna go with it's between two people. Hold on a second. It'll come down to one thing. Oh yeah, no, definitely
I wanted.
not.
It throws me
Trayvon
off.
Diggs is going to be my other corner or my first
Trayvon
corner.
Diggs is falling off a cliff now that people know he's bad. So
He's more consistent this year though. He has
more consistent coverage but he's still just
dude. I don't
that's
know.
a conversation we get to
It's
another
right.
time. I don't like Trayvon Diggs.
Yeah, it's all right.
It's personal vendetta. So no offense to you. I really wanted to go back. I really wanted to get Patrick Surtain and then double back and get Sauce, but now I can't do that.
Yeah, he's spoiled that for me.
Yeah, and there's a lot of cornerbacks I like as my CB2, so we don't really have to go there. I guess I don't want to be stuck without a good wide receiver. Give me Stephon Diggs.
Okay. I don't know why I didn't think about him.
Well, all those good receivers, you need another good corner. So let's go Tariq Woolen.
2 young guys.
Oh, love it. Then offense, I want the Bears to trade for him. So why not get DK Metcalf?
Okay.
Like it. So I'm stuck here. Part of me wants to go Tyreek Hill, but he's old. And then the other part of me wanted to get Jalen Waddle. But we're going to get my guy, and we're going to have Diggs and A.J. Brown. That's going to be scary.
I am going to go with, I think, the best young quarterback. I think Coach Tyler has the best young quarterback in the league, but I'm going Jalen Hurts with my.
Oh my goodness! Okay, you guys just gave me the MVP. I appreciate that.
After that, let's see. I need a corner. Man, this is really
That's after like those two, after Sauce and Patrick Surtain's, it's either like there's a drop off because of age.
That's the thing, and
like Jalen Ramsey has fallen. I don't know what happened to him this season, man.
Yeah, he's not that good.
And the problem is Slay. He's one of the best quarterbacks right now in football, but he probably will be out of football in 3 years.
That's it. I'm picking the most annoying person in this league that's not named Aaron Rodgers, and it's Jair Alexander.
Oh, you turd.
So, all right.
Well, I guess I don't need cornerbacks anymore either, so we can save those. I like to see that. Okay. I'm about done here. I have 2 more left. We will take the best running back in football, which I'm surprised he's here. Give me CMC.
Okay. Coach Tyler?
I'm going to rack up Saquon. And the dude that is, undershadowed by Fred Warner, whatever you want to call it, Dre Greenlaw.
Okay. Ben, wait, out of curiosity, before your next pick, who was your linebacker again?
Fred Warner.
Okay. All right.
Yep. So, I think now I'm just at positions I just need to fill that you guys already have. No, but I know our coach wants to go defensive tackle. I'm not going to take him, but will you take my defensive?
Take him.
No, I don't want him. I want.
Who's your edge rusher again?
Micah Parsons.
Okay.
I wanted to go with TJ, but I decided to go with Micah just because he's more versatile. That being said, I'm going to take I think the second best defensive tackle in all of, I almost said college football, in all of the NFL outside of this season. Aaron Donald's obviously a different breed, but he didn't play. This season, I think he's the second best defensive tackle outside of Chris Jones. Chris Jones is old, so that's why I'm not taking him. I want Jeffrey Simmons.
Who?
Jeffrey Simmons.
Oh, we got 2 different thought processes there, but I ain't going to say this guy then.
It's on me, isn't it? All right. You both have middle linebackers, right?
Yep.
Oh boy. Okay. I don't think anybody's picked this position. I might not be paying attention though. I didn't put him on my big board though. That's why I'm kind of struggling. I guess I'll go with wide receiver 2 first off, just to buy me a little bit more time and go CD. Because nobody picked him, right?
Okay, no one has.
All right. I'll pair Justin Jefferson with CD Lamb, no big deal. And then let's see. Okay. I'll go how old is he? Yeah, Minka Fitzpatrick for my safety.
Yep. I think I just need a quarterback and a CB2, and I think everything else is filled. Oh, and an O-line. To get it out of the way, I'm going to go with the best interior offensive line in all of football. Give me the Chiefs.
Okay.
Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, and Joe Thuney is just a.
Well, I guess I'll get Dexter Lawrence out of the way. The guy I thought you were gonna say instead of Jeffrey Simmons was Christian Wilkins, but
I think I don't know why he didn't get as much hype as he did this season. I think Jeffrey Simmons, the only reason he didn't get much hype is because he played for the Titans. But he's been
Dexter Lawrence was going to be my defensive tackle if I didn't get Quinnen Williams. But part of the reason why I drafted Quinnen Williams is because of his "Bless Me" video when he sneezed and blessed himself.
Yeah,
yep.
That's why.
But we're choosing a tight end, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's tight end and safety I have left. So I'm going to keep safety last because I think that's going to be a big one that you guys are going to freak out a little bit maybe. But I'm going to go George Kittle at my tight end.
Nice. Yeah, I think it's CB2 and quarterback left. I have no clue why Patrick Mahomes is still here. And we're going to save my CB2 for last just because it's a personal favorite of mine. Give me Patrick Mahomes. I have no clue how I got the best quarterback in football on my team.
I'm going to fill out the last couple spots of my team here. I'm going to go with TJ Hawkinson for my tight end just because of age and I like him. So Hawkinson at tight end, and then I guess I'll go Roquan Smith for linebacker just to get the former Bear up in there. And that'll finish mine. So
yep. I'm going with I think the most slept on cornerback in again all of college or not college in all of the NFL. Tyson Campbell. I have no clue how people are not talking about this dude. I think he finished like 9th in PFF like CB ranking this year as well, or like CB rating. I think the only reason people aren't talking about Tyson Campbell is because he plays for the Jaguars, but he's almost virtually locked down wide receiver 1 of any team he's been playing. It's been a while.
All right, Coach Taylor.
Well, safety's going to be a tough one here. I was going to save it for last to make it. Well, I love Jaquan Brisker. Okay, I do love him. But every time I talk about this dude, one of the guys I coach with, he's a diehard Bengals fan, and I truly believe he is the best safety in football. He's from Fort Wayne Bishop Bluers in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Jesse Bates.
I like Jesse Bates. I really do. Especially when I like user him in Madden. That's like probably my favorite part about him. But Coach, is that your last position?
That's my last position. Yep.
Should be.
All right. So Coach, do you want to go ahead and start us off by reading off your team?
All right. So quarterback, I got Joe Burrow. Running back, Saquon. Wide receiver 1, Jamar Chase. Wide receiver 2, DK Metcalf. Tight end, George Kittle. O-line, the Detroit Lions. Defensive tackle, Dexter Lawrence. Edge rusher, Nick Bosa. Linebacker, Dre Greenlaw. CB1, Sauce Gardner. CB2, Tariq Woolen. And then safety, Jesse Bates.
Quarterback, Patrick Mahomes. Wide receiver 1, Stephon Diggs. Wide receiver 2, A.J. Brown. Tight end is Kelsey. Running back is Christian McCaffrey. Offensive line is the Chiefs. Edge is Micah Parsons. Defensive tackle is Jeffrey Simmons. Linebacker is Fred Warner. Cornerback 1 is Patrick Surtains. Cornerback 2 is Tyson Campbell. And for my safety, Derwin James.
All right. And then my team, which I just figured out, like if you exclude the Eagles offensive line, I've got a really young roster. So my quarterback is Jalen Hurts. My running back is Javonte Williams. My wide receiver 1 is Justin Jefferson. My wide receiver 2 is CeeDee Lamb. My tight end is TJ Hawkinson. My offensive line is the Eagles O-line. My D tackle is Quinnen Williams. My edge rusher is TJ Watt. My linebacker is Roquan Smith. My 2 corners are Trayvon Diggs and Jair Alexander. And then Minka Fitzpatrick is my safety. I don't know about you guys. I think I did way better than I did in the first draft. Do you guys remember how bad that was?
Yes.
Oh my God. That was so bad. Let me see if I could pull that up. Yeah.
We not to two, and I do think it was a bit, while you pull that up, I do think it was a bit unfair advantage towards my swing. But Coach Tyler, just a couple of weeks ago, we did the same premise of the draft, but we drafted guys from like this past draft, and I think I smoked Ryan. Anyway, I think it was unfair of me to do that as the gridiron
draft
coach.
guy.
Yeah, as a draft.
That was horrible.
That was
so bad.
In the issue too, Ryan. I think I came in with a strategy of like, I'm gonna take the player that there's no other player at that position. Like it's Tyler Linderbaum, and then no one else that has played.
Dude, you were like, let's do this, and I was like, sure.
I gave you 2 days in advance. But what really got him, I think, with my second overall pick, I did Brisker, and he was not happy.
Dude, you killed me with Brisker, and it wasn't strictly because that was such a great pick. It was just because I wanted him so bad. No, but overall, dude. Okay, since we've talked to Coach Tyler last, our knowledge and overall, I think, content on football has grown so much more than what it was before. Back last time.
Darn near 50 episodes, man.
I mean, yeah,
49 episodes.
Heck yeah!
It's been 49 weeks since we've talked to him last on the show. This is crazy, and the things that we've been able to do as well, it was just awesome. But honestly, I mean, Coach Tyler, I think looking back on it, and when it comes to views, which we don't really pay too much attention to here, yours was I want to say it's the second most viewed behind Eric Lambert of Sports Mockery, which you're putting up one heck of a fight too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what's better than 2 football minds? Just 3 football minds. This is, I mean, unbelievable. And it's always so much fun too. Especially after what you've done with Calumet.
Yes.
I remember last time we talked to you, you were just getting ready for it, and we were really looking forward to seeing what you can do. And I mean, I since I broadcast Northwest Indiana football, that was huge to try and keep up with you, just in case I did see you down the line. Looking back on it, your episode has 37 views to Eric Lambert's 40. So I'm telling you, you put up
That's
one
awesome.
heck of a fight. People love when you're on, and we do even more. We really do appreciate the time.
Yeah, I mean, you guys way past my bedtime, because I gotta go deal with all these kids tomorrow morning. So,
Yes. Well, thank you for coming on.
Thank you very much.
I love coming on here. I love talking football. I love talking college. I love talking NFL. I love doing all that. You guys know I'm a talker. I could sit here, put up a whiteboard behind me, and sit here and just draw up shit. Sorry, draw up stuff, and that's the coach's talk coming out. So,
hey, it's all good. Nothing we're not used to from Coach Tyler, huh?
Hey, I don't cuss a whole lot anymore, so not as much as I used to. So
that's good. It's all right. Well, hey, we really do appreciate the time. Any closing comments from either one of you before we close things up?
Good.
I'm good.
All right. If you made it this far, we want to say thank you very much. We also want to say a huge thank you to Anchor.fm, Uppercuts Grooming, and Overtime Sports Network, as well as Regional Radio Sports Network for helping our podcast grow. Special shout out to Uppercuts Grooming. I'll be seeing him later this week. Thank God. Look at all these locks, man. Jesus. Anyways, so special shout out to them. They're awesome. If you've made it this far and are listening consistently, we want to say thank you, especially to you. And keep an eye out for our Twitter as well. We've been a little bit more active on there. Shout out to Coach Tyler for actually retweeting some of our stuff, getting us out there a little bit. But yes, and then for next week as well, if you're a Bears fan, stay tuned because we've got a lot coming as well. Very special guest coming on maybe within the next couple weeks, hopefully next week. So it's going to be a lot of fun. But until then, thanks for tuning into the Pigskin Project, and we'll see you guys next